You've heard the old saying, old habits die hard. Well, it's definitely applicable to the way Sri Lanka batted out there in Durham today. Got a good start, scoring at a good rate, but then just kept on losing wickets one after the other, one after the other. The one silver lining, honestly, for Sri Lanka would have been that they would have played out 50 overs, but even that didn't happen. Played out 49.3 overs. Eventually, Sri Lanka getting bundled out by South Africa for just 203 runs. Avishka Fernando 30, Kusal Pereira 30. Good starts for both of them. Just couldn't build on it. Dhananjay De Silva getting 24. Pretorius, of course, the pick of the bowlers for South Africa. 3 for 25. Chris Morris 3 for 46. Kagiso Rabada getting a wicket in the very first ball of the innings. Thank you so much for joining us on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. As we're joined in studio by Murli Karthik and Mike Hussey, also joined from Sri Lanka by Tilakratne Dilshan and from South Africa by Albie Mokel. Karthik, somewhere or the other, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the signs were always there. Because if you lose your captain on ball one, you sort of know that maybe it's not your day.
No, it's not about the captain, but yeah, it's always a tough loss getting a wicket or losing a wicket to the first ball. It sends sort of shivers into the batting camp. We just walked in and people want to settle down in the dressing room and you lose a wicket. But more than that, it's just the application of some of the batsmen, isn't it? Yes, the South Africans did bowl well. Yes, Pretorius did bowl well. Kagiso obviously did really well. But some of the shots or the shot selection, or for that matter, it started off with Avishka Fernando. He was looking so good. It was not. It seemed as if the South African bowling for the first 12 to 15 overs was very different to what they did post his downfall. So I think that's where the stronger teams seem to do better, or the better teams seem to do better. And then you can have a good day, and then a day like this, when you need to put a reasonable total on the board, I thought it was a bit disappointing from Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I mean, there's a really nice stat out here on ESPN Cricinfo commentary. If you do not, if you want to watch it, make sure you get on the ESPN Cricinfo website. But Mike, other than all the batsmen, other than the first one, the captain, of course, who got out on the very first ball, pretty much, and Malinga, everyone else has faced 25 plus deliveries, yet no one has really cemented a big score.
And that's the disappointing thing, I think, from a Sri Lankan point of view. Yes, you need to give yourself time to get in, and some of the batters were looking good out there, but they've got to take that next step to go on with it and someone get a big score in there and then have a few other guys play around them. I thought South Africa's bowling was really ordinary in the first 10 overs. They were all over the place. They were either too short, then they were too full, they were bowling wides, and they were all over the place. And Sri Lanka got off to a great start. It looked positive, they were playing some nice shots. And then South Africa, I don't know what happened. It's like they flicked the switch and they said, right, we're just going to start bowling in the right area now, and they did. Pretorius probably started it off, and Peklaqueo sort of followed suit. They started really honing in on a great line and length. And when they bowled in that right area, it looked more difficult for the Sri Lankan batsmen to score some runs. So that's sort of saying that it's not the easiest pitch to bat on if you bowl well. And that's probably where they lost their patience. Once they got off to the flying start, they thought, okay, we're looking at a big score. Suddenly some good bowling, the pressure builds. They played a couple of ordinary shots, and South Africa got right back on top in the game.
Dilshan, it's not the first time in this World Cup that someone is throwing this question to you about the shot selection of the Sri Lankan batting order. And how many times are you going to answer the same question? That's my point. And how will you make it different this time, sir?
I think the thing is, when you are batting Kusal and Fernando, we feel we are playing different wicket. They are these two always, I think, positive. They want to hit boundaries. They want to drop the ball singles, twos. I think after these two got out, I think you can go through the how many balls they face. Everyone after number 3, everyone less than 50% strike rate. They are putting pressure from them. They are looking for all the times the good balls, not looking for singles or rotate the strike. I think that's a mistake Sri Lankan team doing last couple of years. Middle order, they are try to looking the ball rather than try to strike the rotation, put singles, go to other end. And we know that they bowl well, but still not that the wicket is that bad. It's a very good wicket. We saw the first 10 overs, 60 plus runs, but totally disappointed against the batting unit. They're putting pressure on them, and they are playing bad shot and get out after facing 30, 40 balls. They are stuck. I feel they are looking only the good balls. They are not looking for the make runs. That's I think a big difference than other teams than Sri Lankan middle order.
Albie, a word on Pretorius, of course, who's been the pick of the bowlers as far as South Africa is concerned. We'll just show you a couple of his numbers now and the number of dot balls he bowled in his 10 overs. In fact, this is the most dot balls by a bowler in this Cricket World Cup 2019, joint highest with Jason Holder of West Indies, who of course bowled that spell versus India yesterday. 46 out of 60 versus Sri Lanka. Albeit it didn't start too well in the first 6 overs, as Mike and Karthik also mentioned. They were a little all over the place, but then what do you suppose they did right to come back into the contest?
Yeah, I think Mike summed it up 100%. After discussing Kagiso this morning, you know, before they started, I thought, you know, when he took that wicket first ball, I thought, here we go, he's going to run through them, take 5 today, and then after that, the next hour or 45 minutes is pretty much the same that we saw, you know, in the games before this. Plenty of bad balls, missing their lines and lengths, and the Sri Lankan batsmen, you know, could score freely. I think after 10 overs, to Faf's credit, you know, I think he changed his bowlers around nicely. I think the plan was then not to try too much. There's obviously a little bit in the wicket, you know, just hit their lines and lengths and ask the Sri Lankan batsmen to hit good shots. I just thought they lost their way completely after that. They didn't have an answer to that. If you just look at their strike rates, it dropped from, you know, the guys were scoring at 80s and 100s to 40s, which shows disciplined bowling, but also maybe, you know, not enough intent from the batsmen to put the bowlers under pressure. Most of the wickets as well in the top order was sort of, you know, given away by the batsmen. Not really good balls, but sort of bad shots by the batsmen. And you mentioned Dwayne Pretorius. You know, you have to feel happy for him. He sat on the side. He was in the initial squad, and he watched his team go down 8 games in a row. And to get opportunity today and bowl as well as he did, you know, I'm happy for the guy. Well done to him. But that's what you get from him. You know, he's a line and length bowler. He's very disciplined. What he lacks in pace, and that's where people sort of criticise him. He doesn't have enough pace. He doesn't swing the ball. You know, he makes up in discipline. And if you look at his numbers for South Africa, he's always the one who sort of produces in terms of run rate, and you know, he always chips in with wickets. So happy for him, and I think South Africa will be happy after what happened in the first 10.
I think he brought up a really good point. Discipline in bowling is not the most eye-catching of things, but it's also a very underrated thing. If you continue doing it, the rewards will come to you.
Look, it's not the eye-catching, but that is what is required in any format, and that's where people tend to go wrong. And half the time, if as a bowler you thought good discipline and good line, good length, if that is mandatory in your head, I think you're not presenting so many scoring opportunities. Any wicket would look good. Yeah, I know there are some flat wickets where the margin for error is very minimal. But on other surfaces, I think it's only when we present an opportunity to the batsman do they start cashing in. If every bowler thought discipline and just stick to your basics and just try and hit the right length, then things won't happen. It's only because the bowlers try so many things, there's so many thought processes, and at the end of the day, even though you might think everybody is not a Glenn McGrath, that they think to the top of off and are able to do it 5 out of 6 times or 6 out of 6 times, there are so many times the skill set to do that is not there, and I feel that's where the scoring opportunities come out for the batsmen. It's good that they reverted back to what it should have happened from the word go, and both Albie and Huss were very right. The first 10 to 12 overs for suddenly you were thinking, after getting a wicket on the first ball, what is this? Is this the South African team? And also there were quite a few things like the simple catch drop of Faf. That has been the kind of, what should I say, the trip which South Africa have had in England this time around. They fancy their fielding, they are a good side, their bowling looked good, but nothing has actually turned up in totality for them, and that's one of the reasons why they're struggling. Thankfully, over here you've got 203 runs to knock off in this game and get a good win.
Dilshan, a word on Sri Lanka's batting order. In specific, I'm talking about Thisara Pereira, who came after Jeevan Mendes. What do you make of that?
I think we discussed earlier also, a couple of games earlier also. I don't know, for Mendes playing for batsman or bowler, I think we should play a proper batsman or proper bowler. But again, Thisara came down. Thisara pass he done Sri Lanka for, he got runs, but unfortunately he played as a batsman. He should come before the Thisara. He is playing as a batsman. Jeevan, I think definitely should come up. He should take, today is a good opportunity for him, more than 20 overs to bat, he should bat, but we saw again he first 4 runs more than face 35 balls. But that's a very difficult thing. Another thing is after getting start everyone to 30s and 20s, throwing wicket is disaster for any team. The thing is, these batsmen are doing same mistake every game, every game, continuously doing 1 or 2 games. If we get a good start, we can get out for good ball. But they are doing continuously getting start and throwing their wicket. I think it's a big problem for Sri Lankan middle order. That for that answer, he played as a batsman. He should come before Thisara.
Yeah, of course, it was getting really tough for Sri Lanka to score, especially once they started losing a lot of wickets. But the approach just did not change, Mike, because if you see a lot of the wickets they've lost them to trying to play out the big shots. No one was really rotating the strike and getting those singles and doubles going.
Yeah, I think coming into this tournament, we were expecting a lot of boundaries, a lot of 4s, 6s, massive scores, but it hasn't really played out that way. There's been enough in the pitches for the bowlers. And if you are disciplined enough and you can just get enough balls in the right area, it's not easy just to stand there and smash those boundaries that we're talking about. So the batsmen that have been doing well are the ones that are able to rotate the strike and show good batsmanship skills, show good mental ability, that when it is tough, find a way to get off strike. And I feel as though that's one area these Sri Lankan batsmen have fallen down, and it's maybe an area they need to look at moving forward to improve their games, that mental side of the game, and not just thinking big all the time, but thinking how they can get off strike and rotate the strike that way.
I think just the amount of times Tilak Ratne Dilshan on ESPN Cricinfo said, I've said that earlier also, that can be the script of Sri Lanka's World Cup so far. I've said that earlier also, because it's the same script which is repeating itself over and over again. It's time for a small little break here on ESPN Cricinfo Match Day, but on the other side, we're going to focus on the chase. South Africa chasing South Africa, no? It's chasing Sri Lanka's 204.
J is for Jonty. Jonathan Rhodes of South Africa marked 4 World Cups with his acrobatic feats, but none seem as iconic as his first. Making his ODI debut in 1992, Jonty had his crowning moment in his 5th match when he ran out the well-set top scorer Inzamam Al-Haq. The wicket shifted the momentum and led to South Africa beating Pakistan. But for many, the game's only recall is the picture of Jonty flying parallel to the ground towards the stumps. It was perhaps when the world first noticed that fielding, cricket's least celebrated faculty, can be breathtaking too.
Play Cricket Picks, the new predictor game from ESPN Cricinfo. Make predictions, pick your winners, and track your progress throughout the tournament. Go to espncricinfo.com/cricketpicks and play today. Something easier? Put your tipping to the test.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. It's Sri Lanka batting first, have put up 203 on the board, managed just 49.3 overs, did not manage to play out the 50 overs. South Africa needing 204 runs to win in match number 35 rather, coming to you from Durham, and what has been not a very exciting game to look back on, the last 50 overs especially, though the most exciting part for me from that game was when the gang of Durham, or should I say the bees of Durham, took over the ground and everyone was on the ground. That's me really. But we got a Hotstar comment as well, and it's regarding South Africa. So I'll take that question to you. A Hotstar comment of the day. And this one is coming in from Chennai. Morentham has sent us this. Sri Lanka are one of the many teams with a serious middle order problem, Albi, but South Africa have middle and top order problems as well. I won't be surprised if South Africa collapse for a low score here today. So not really a question, Albi. That's a comment coming in from a Hotstar viewer who is expecting the top order and middle order to collapse.
Well, I think it's probably a fair comment, you know, the way things have gone. I just think that the South African dressing room will be totally relaxed. You know, they went out there not knowing what to expect today, and if they had to chase another 300 today, then maybe. But I think, you know, chasing 200, that's perfectly set up for Amla again. He can just go out there and, you know, no pressure on him to score quickly, and hopefully Quinny can get off to a start. I'm a little bit worried about our middle order. If, you know, as a team is written down, if Markram bats in the middle order, you know, he's not really adapted to that. I think he still needs to work on his game there. As we know, he's more of an opening batsman, but yeah, I for once don't think South Africa will collapse today. I think we'll have an easy one.
I'll be a word on Aiden Markram, and we'll show you a couple of his numbers now. A lot of people say Aiden Markram is best suited to playing up top, but you've seen him play a lot in the middle of the order, and the numbers, of course, back that up as well. See this, in ODI cricket, opening the innings, Aiden Markram averages 40.8, strike rate is 84.7. At number 3, it's 16.3, strike rate is 90. At number 4, that average drops to 30. And the strike rate, of course, is also 79. What for you is the right position to make this guy bat, Albi?
100% opening batsman. That's where he plays for our domestic side in South Africa. He opens the batting for us, the Titans, and he's scored many centuries. I think he scored 3 in a row this year in 50 over cricket. Yes, it's domestic cricket, and there's a step up to international cricket, but that's where he plays all his cricket. His problem is when he bats at 5, and especially if you get against the good international spinners that's around. You know, he hasn't quite worked his game out yet to be able to rotate those guys and score off, you know, the better spinners and bowlers taking place off. So for now, 100% opening batsman.
Dilshan, a word on Sri Lanka's bowling attack. Of course, they defended a low score versus England as well. What's the key for you now once Sri Lanka get onto the field defending that total? Of course, all the focus will be on a certain Lasith Malinga as well.
I think not in the Malinga. I think definitely new ball, we should take a couple of wickets, put the pressure, especially De Kock, Amla and Du Plessis. There's 3 key wickets we have to take. If you want to put the pressure to the South African team, these 3 wickets are very important, and everyone should try to take the wicket like what did the last game against England. We try to take the wicket rather than try to bowl 50 over. We try to take the wickets. Every game we can't ask the bowlers to do a job. Thing is, bowlers did really good throughout this tournament. I think all 11 should support to the bowlers. Try to take half chances, at least half run out. Everyone should do their job. 110%. They should these 50 over. They should do their job.
Yeah, I think it makes a very good point. When you're defending a very low total, not just the bowling needs to come together, but you need to come together as a team. So that means you're stopping that one run, you're taking those half chances, and then it could just flip in your favour.
Yeah, that's right. They've got to come in really upbeat, as positive as they can, get a couple of early wickets, put South Africa on the back foot. And I think tactically, the captain's got to be right on here. I think Dilshan makes a really good point there. Bowl your good bowlers up front and keep them on for a bit longer, because if the game goes 50 overs, then South Africa are probably going to chase it down comfortably. So try and bowl them out in, say, 40 overs, and so you need to use your best bowlers up front.
It's a bit of a slowish pitch. So how do you see the Lankan bowlers extracting the most from it? What's the best way to go about it then?
Again, use your best bowlers and get them to bowl the kind of areas where they're attacking areas, and come in with the same mentality which they had against England, because again, they didn't have a big total on board, and it was a moment where they had to win the game. They created that kind of an atmosphere, possibly try and recreate that kind of a feeling that this is what it is, this is all we have, and this is what we need to defend. And then everybody is upbeat about it. And again, they make great points about the fact that sometimes when you are left with a total like that, you need to have the best bowlers bowling at the right times, and that's what you can do, and get them to do it the right way.
At least they can take confidence that they've done it before against England. So it's about, okay, what do we do well in that game against England? And let's try and recreate that. You know, they kept it really simple. They just bowled good areas. They built up pressure. That sort of tactic will work well on this pitch too in Durham.
Gentlemen, your cricket prediction is coming correct, by the way.
What?
that you went with South Africa.
Oh, it's not come yet.
I know.
We picked England as well, but that didn't happen. So.
I trying to tell me, oh, okay. Murli Karthik, Michael Hussey, Tilak Ratne, Dilshan, Albi Mokal, thank you so much for joining us. We, of course, will see you after the full game. Sri Lanka taking on South Africa. South Africa chasing 204 to win their second game of the World Cup. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.